Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. For today's video, we'll go over how to set up your chart of accounts. So for the example, we'll have my one of my clients' account. He said it was okay, so I'll go a little in depth with this. He is still a fairly small business, so his template should fit in with a lot of you small businesses. So let's get started. So for the chart of accounts, you basically create um, an account for each item on your balance sheet um, and your profit and loss statement. So for these accounts, we'll go from top to bottom first on the balance sheet. We start off with the assets. So if you guys have an accounting background, this is fairly simple. If you don't, I'll go a little in depth for you guys. So you have your assets, and in accounting, you always want your assets to equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. That's kind of what the debit and credit system is. If something changes on the asset side, then it also changes on the liabilities and stockholders' equity side. So the first thing on top we have for our chart of accounts is the current assets. For your current asset, you have items such as cash. So this is what the over here, the hold on, the checking bank accounts, PayPal, Shopify Holding Bank. Anything that's checking account or savings would be in the current asset selection, so that'll be the top. Also, inventory will be right under. Um, you have an item called uncategorized asset and undeposited funds. Um, on the chart of accounts side right here, they show credit. Credit is not a current asset. When you go to your balance sheet, it will actually show up as a current liability. So from other current assets, right underneath it will change into current liabilities. For bigger companies with assets, in addition to current assets, we would have fixed assets. So with fixed assets, you can add an account here, fixed assets, and you could have, let's say, machinery and equipment. So you have that. You just click this box right here, track depreciation of this asset, and when you capitalize those assets, you can have the depreciation also automatically set with QuickBooks. So just click Save and Close, and you have a fixed asset right here. So you have the original cost and the depreciation. So this will keep track of the depreciation for your fixed assets. QuickBooks doesn't actually calculate depreciation for you. You will have to go and create a depreciation schedule on your own. Um, so for this business, we only have credit cards for the current liabilities. Underneath liabilities are the stockholders' equity. So before I get into the stockholders' equity part of the balance sheet, other liabilities would include payroll liabilities. So for instance, if your employees are contributing to their 401k, that would be considered a liability. So you can add that as, let me add that for you guys. So right here, you can go other current liabilities and payroll expense line or payroll clearing, one of those. And you can put 401k contribution, and it'll be here. Yeah, or other current liabilities. Also, notes payable would be it could be either a current liability, short-term liability, or a long-term liability. So you go here. We just went over current liabilities, short-term liabilities, and long-term liabilities real quick. Stockholders' equity is next. So in QuickBooks, we have an account called opening balance equity. So the opening balance equity happens when you sync an account, such as a bank account, to QuickBooks, and it doesn't sync since it syncs after the beginning of the account opening. So instead of having all the expenses lined up from a certain time period, it will combine all those expenses up and give you a number, which is the opening balance equity. This should be cleared out. So what you want to do is go into your bank and find out all the transactions, or if you have a good idea of where to separate these expenses towards, you can also do that. Yeah, we can go more in depth with that if you guys would like. Um, Also, owner's investment is part of the equity, and owner's pay and personal expenses. I don't use this often. I prefer not. I prefer not to use this account. And then, well, we also have retained earnings here. So that's the balance sheet. Very basic items. So far for this business, this is all we really needed. Um, this is an e-commerce Shopify business. So if you are also a e-commerce Shopify business, you can follow this template minus the fixed assets, unless you want to capitalize your computer equipment. You could go ahead and do that. So the next thing coming up is the profit and loss statement. So at the top of the P&L, we have income. So with the income, for a business such as this one, we'll have sales of product income on the top. So we'll have sales. I divided up the different sources of income. We have apparel and non-apparel. Right underneath the the income lines, we have the cost of goods sold. So we'll have the cost of goods sold minus the income, and we'll have gross profit from here. Then we'll have the direct expenses. So underneath the cost of goods sold, we have expenses, which most of the expenses for this business is advertising and marketing, and the two revenue drivers are Facebook ads and influencer costs. So this part's important for us to measure, so we understand the direct impact of what our ads, how much traffic our ads are bringing us, and if the ads are actually increasing sales or not. So these categories and these categories are what we look at the most out of everything. Then we have Ask My Accountant. We don't really use that. Bank charges and fees, dues and subscriptions, supplies, legal and professional services, meals and entertainment, office supplies, PayPal fees, which are also bank charges. Reimbursable expenses can be kept track of here. Repair, maintenance, taxes and licenses, and categorized expenses. Yeah, so now we can go ahead and take a look at the balance sheet and profit and loss statement. So if we're checking as of September 30th, we have all of our bank accounts under current assets and our PayPal Bank and Shopify holdings, undeposited, undeposited funds, our credit cards and the current liabilities, and we have some opening balance equity and owner's investment and net income. Pretty simple, pretty easy to read. We don't have much here. We try to keep it small since we're still very small. Now we have our profit and loss. So as of September, we have our payroll income right underneath, cost of goods sold, so our gross profit for the month, Facebook ads underneath, and underneath that we have bank charges and fees, dues and subscriptions, meals and entertainment, PayPal fees, and net income. Pretty simple P&L and balance sheet. Very easy to read. Even if you aren't an accounting background, you can kind of see what all the categories go into and what kind of information you're trying to take out from categorizing in certain ways. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.